I promise I really want to make more content that you guys are actually going to enjoy. I'd like to make it sooner rather than later, but I've really got nothing much to share at the moment. And this is my channel, so I can post whatever the fuck I want. So if you can't handle me at my... then you don't deserve me at my... So with that out the way, I'm gonna fucking start this. I'm going to start this by saying that I never really watched television a lot while growing up. At the very least not enough for it to leave any lasting memories in my mind. Probably down to Mum sleeping on the sofa and complaining when you turned Jeremy Kyle off even though she wasn't watching it. A lot of my childhood TV memories was watching secondhand Thomas VHS tapes, which I was able to learn and operate from a very young age. All in all, as I've grown older, I haven't found much interest in TV shows anymore. Of course, there's a few that I do still enjoy, such as Initial D or B-Stars, and I'll always have a lot of respect for Thomas the Tank Engine given what the series led me towards. But after I passed the age of 10 or so, I never really watched television anymore. Now, the show that I'm going to be talking about today, I'd completely forgotten about until very recently, where a conversation with my beloved Julian, who you should totally watch and support by the way, led me to listing off the only shows I actually remember paying attention to when growing up. Those shows being Thomas the Tank Engine, which I've already mentioned, Horrid Henry, Oggy and the Cockroaches, The Amazing Adrenalini Brothers, and the subject of today's video, YooHoo Friends. Now, I don't remember a lot about this show, and most of my memories come from owning several of the plushies while growing up. But it all came flooding back after rewatching a few episodes. This is going to be less of a retrospective, and more just me wondering what the hell this show is that I remember watching, but I will try to explain as much as possible. YooHoo Friends is a South Korean 2D animated show from 2009, produced by Aurora based on a toy line of the same name. The series revolves around 5 characters: YooHoo, a bush baby, Pammy, a fennec fox, Rudy, a capuchin monkey, I probably mispronounced that, Chiwoo, a red squirrel, and Lemmy, a ring-tailed lemur. The first season revolves around them trying to find the seeds to the Tree of Life after their home of Utopia falls into ruin, and this will be the season that we focus on. Now, I bet there's going to be one person here who actually watched the show and is thinking, wait Jay, this is wrong. The show I watched had a completely different plot. And you'd be right. If you were watching in Latin America, the United Kingdom, or Australia, instead you got YooHoo Friends, the David Feiss version. Yes, that David Feiss, the same one who did Cow and Chicken and I Am Weasel. Yep, we're not going to be talking about the original cutesy Korean series, we're talking about the batshit insane westernized one. The plots are very loosely related to one another, but aside from the whole aspect of searching for items, they couldn't be further apart. The 2012 westernized series revolves around 5 corporate executives who, to quote the opening theme song, destroyed the world for money. They are turned into cute and cuddly animals and forced to undo their wrongs by Father Time, who is only going along with this to please his wife Mother Nature, who said he'd have to sleep on the sofa if he didn't. The reason for this change in plot was to up the age rating of the series for a slightly older demographic, as the original was aimed to much younger audiences, and didn't provide the actual humour that the older audiences in the West wanted at the time. I haven't watched the entirety of each series, but it seems a few of the earlier episodes of Feiss's series reused the animation for the Koreans, whilst there's a lot of custom-made episodes exclusive to the American series, namely the ending, which due to the differences in the overall series plot would have never fit into the original. On the note of the animation, I'm wondering if the first episode was a series pilot made to pitch the show to networks, as 51 of the 52 episodes I can find are all animated with digital puppets, while the first episode seems to have a lot of fully hand-animated segments, namely the intro sequence, the scenes where the main characters are transformed into their animal bodies, and the ending song sequence which plays after they find a gem in every episode. Of course, the extra scenes with the main characters were animated with the rigs to keep the style consistent with the Korean series and the scenes that were reused, but the hand-animated sections are so expressive and are probably my favourite parts of the whole series, even if they're restricted to only the first episode. Okay, Editor J here. I'm just finding more hand-drawn sequences as I watch more episodes, so take what I just said with a pinch of salt. There might be some other well-animated scenes if you decide to watch the series yourself. I'm not going to because I honestly don't think I'd be able to sit through this. The series usually followed a very basic structure. Father Time would be up to whatever, then he'd send YooHoo and the gang on the next mission. We'd cut to either a redubbed version of a Korean episode, or we'd get an entirely Western exclusive one. There'd be a musical number after they collect the gem, which I've already mentioned, and then the episode will end on either some sort of throwaway gag with Father Time, or some lesson for the main characters. The David Feiss series got 52 episodes in its first season and never went beyond that. The series only aired in Latin America, Great Britain and Australia in 2012, but apparently Splash Entertainment, the series distributor, had plans to air the show in France and Germany the next year, plans which would never come to fruition. Apparently Toonzone Studios, the company behind the Western series, made plans for a new line of plush toys to complement the original Aurora ones, as well as playsets and light-up dolls, which again never came to be. Unfortunately, the series seems little more than a footnote in the franchise's history, as the original Korean show did get an official English dub, made for Amazon Prime the year prior, and the only reason the 2012 series existed was to try and market it to an older audience, which is likely why Feiss' series flopped so hard and never went beyond the initial run. Further research shows that Toonzone had plans for a second season of YooHoo Friends, but these were ultimately postponed, causing Toonzone to take legal action against Aurora World over the contractual copyrights of the series. This ultimately caused Aurora to break the deal with Toonzone and license the franchise to Lawless Entertainment in June of 2014. The original Korean series would last much longer than the attempt at westernizing it though, gaining a second season in 2013 and a third in 2015. Both the first and second seasons have received official English dubs, while the third is yet to be redubbed and is only in Korean if I recall correctly. And even though it's not related to any of what I've just said, there was a third series made for Netflix in 2019, YooHoo to the Rescue, a much more formulaic series made for very young audiences and made with the cheap Asian CGI you associate with something like Fireman Sam. I'll admit I do like a few of the character designs for the reboot, but the plot of every episode is incredibly samey, so I wouldn't recommend it to anyone over the age of 5. It's very similar to something like Paw Patrol. Interestingly though,
this might seem crazy, but I think we should ask those dolphins for help.
The voice for YooHoo in the British dub was provided by none other than Thomas the fucking Train himself. John Hasler voiced YooHoo in this series when it was brought to the UK in 2020, while at the same time working on Thomas and Friends between 2015 and 2021.
Hi everyone! If something is old or broken, you might want to throw it away. It isn't Gordon, is it? Hello there, Gordon.
So if you ever wanted to hear Thomas say dying, then here you go.
The forest is dying.
But overall, I wouldn't recommend this 2019 show for anyone with a functioning frontal lobe. The only reason I suggest you watch a few episodes is to see if there's any good lines you could use for CGI Thomas YouTube poops. The content itself is incredibly repetitive. As I said, it's very much similar to something like Paw Patrol or Mighty Express. To loop back around to the reason I made this video though, the 2012 YooHoo Friends series is very much a product of its time. Crude humour, unnecessary plot filler, and ultimately a failure. But can I say I hate this show? Not entirely. I can appreciate the goal that Feiss had set for the show, and I wonder what would have happened if the show was greenlit for a second season, or if the French and German dubs made it to televisions. I don't think I'll ever sit down and watch the entire series, but it's been fun to look back on a missing piece of my childhood. Also, I mentioned it was my Julian who actually got me researching this. Me geeking out to him over a childhood show was actually what sent him down the rabbit hole as well, so expect to see a video by him going into further detail if that's of any interest. And if not, then just go watch him anyway, because he's amazing and he could really do with your support. Also, a random observation I noticed while watching but couldn't figure out where to put it, Chiwoo was a guy in the original Korean series.
Oh yeah, sure, it's not his fault at all. But he did bring back a seed from the Tree of Life of all trees located in Utopia.
But she's a girl in the 2012 Westernized series, and the UK dub of the 2019 series.
But I just shaved my legs!
Aha! Chiwoo is missing. Maybe she found the hidden gem already.
Chiwoo?
That's my name! Hi, Pammy! Hi, Rudy!
I have no idea why this happened, just random observation. And yes, I will be collecting a few of the plushies. Surprisingly, they're really cheap on eBay, so I should be able to get the main 5 pretty easily. Yeah, okay, I think that's it now. Bye-bye.